Hello, hello, my Taurus collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your soulmate reading for March 2020. Or timeless, whenever you catch it is when you're supposed to watch it. I am your reader, Mark Angelo Lyons, Mal for short, president of Join the Circle Productions, professional witch, professional intuitive, and very, very happy to be reading you today from my dining room as usual. If you are new to my channel, please do consider liking, subscribing, clicking the notification bell, and even commenting in the comment section below. Because otherwise being a reader on YouTube is a little impersonal, right? I like to see what happens with some of these stories that I'm calling out as I'm seeing them. So please do consider that. Shall we get down to business? Let's. I am a Virgo. You are a Taurus, or at least Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. So let's get some things clear, just so we know what our boundaries are. This is a general read, not a personal read. So please take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and check your other signs. That's why I do Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs for relationship-based spreads, so that you can kind of come in at different angles, and they might all be about the same soul contract, which brings us to the point of this reading. This is a soulmate contract reading, which means we're going to look at a soul contract between two people. We're going to call one divine feminine, the other divine masculine. It's not about bodily gender at all. It is about energetic dynamic. I consider myself a divine feminine, but believe me, I have my divine masculine energy moments when necessary. Like, for instance, doing these videos. It's yang, it's external, it's putting myself out there, not withdrawing within, right? So we're all a fluid balance of both, but it's an easier way to define who the two parties are in a contract, right? Like party number one and party number two. So keeping that in mind, a soulmate contract and a twin flame contract are not the same. There are two videos in the description box below, one by me, one by a brilliant spiritual teacher by the name of Matt Kahn. If you have not heard of him yet, he's amazing. So go check those out. Because a lot of people are conflating twin flame and soulmate, and they're not the same thing, at least not with this new definition that I think makes way more sense, right? And nor do you only have one soulmate or one twin flame. You have many of them throughout one lifetime. But the bottom line of a soulmate contract is you help each other heal. That's why they're not all romantic sexual. My mom and I are soulmates. Absolutely, we help each other heal. We have since pretty much before I was born. So that being said, these are romantic, intimate, sexual soulmate contract reads because that's what people really want to know about. That's what I want to know about. So hang back, pay attention to your breath, right, as we go through this. Focusing on your breath will keep you in the present moments. You'll be able to feel what resonates and what doesn't. Cool, cool. Let's get down to business if my cats will behave themselves, because they've been a little cuckoo nuts. I think they're picking up on a lot of the vibrations going on the planet and in the neighborhood with all the you-know-what going on in the air and in the media. They're so weird. I have 3 black cats, 3 boys, my 3 sons. And the older one is being very kitten-ish today. I have no idea why. He's drinking out of the water bowl while scratching. What the hell is that? What is that about anyway? Let's get down to business. And I may have to pause the video if they get a little out of hand, because sometimes they do, particularly now that spring is on its way, right? Let's do this. We're going to start with 2 cards from the Caroline Myss archetype deck, one for the divine feminine, one for the divine masculine. All the decks that I read are in the description box below. Let's do this. Nice deep breath, please. Oh, that feels good. Here we go. My collective pantheons of angels, goddesses, gods, masters, and the higher selves of all involved, please, 2 cards, one for the divine feminine, one for the divine masculine. In this Taurus collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, sexual, romantic, satisfying soulmate contract for March 2020 or timeless, please. One for that divine feminine. Thank you. Poked me right in the hand. One for the divine masculine. Please, my pantheons. Very quick. Good, good, good. I love a nice steady read, don't you? Now, before I flip these over to see who our lucky couple is, archetypally speaking, remember, every archetype is light and shadow, positive and negative, healthy and toxic, gold and lead. So, the way Caroline Myss designed these cards, one part of it has the shadow attribute written down. It's the toxic, it's the triggery, it's the stuff you really don't want to look at in yourself or in society for that matter. The light is what you're moving towards in terms of healing. And remember, soulmate contracts, you help each other heal. So this is the material that's being alchemized from lead to gold. Shall we? Let's see who we got. Very interesting juxtaposition here. Now remember, I said that divine feminine and divine masculine have nothing to do with biological gender, at least how I'm reading. So for the divine feminine, we've got the athlete archetype, one of the creative family of archetypes. And for the divine masculine, we've got the damsel, a feminine family archetype. So like I said, that really bears the truth out with at least the way I read, that this could very easily be a divine feminine energy, but a male, right? Not that all men are all athletes are men. Of course not. That's ridiculous. But get that it's not all about sports either, the athlete archetype. I have the athlete archetype. Not for a reason, not for a lifetime, but for a season. It comes and goes. Spiritually, I'm very athletic. Creatively, I'm very athletic. And the divine feminine, we all have divine feminine energy. But perhaps in this relationship, if you haven't identified with one or the other right away, don't worry. Like, if you can't figure it out, we're going to do 2 element spreads, one for each with 2 different decks. You'll see. Cool? So let me read you what's written on the card at least. The shadow attribute for the athlete, and I think we know this pretty deeply. The shadow attribute, misuse of athletic ability for selfish ends. Names are popping to mind. I'm not going to say them. False sense of invulnerability and entitlement. Ugh, the deadly sin of the solar plexus chakra. Ugh, entitlement, right? So if you know any entitled athletes, you know to which I speak. The light attribute, though, what you are shooting for, dedication to transcending physical limits. Think about that, transcending physical limits, including handicaps, development of personal willpower and strength of spirit. And that's what I mean, like even doing these videos, right? It's like I put myself through quite an array of spiritual practices every morning before I hit record. I even bless the decks every single time I do this before I start the videos, right? So that they're blessed and seasoned and ready, in this case, for the Taurian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. So it's like I put myself through what? Exercises, not spiritual busy work, not, spiritual obedience, I'm being a good little witch boy, no, but to keep moving it forward, keep making it better, setting goals and going for it, right? So that does not have to be athletic in terms of physical prowess, though certainly can be about transcending physical limits, including handicaps, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, so to speak. Our divine masculine here has the damsel archetype, which is a lot about romance, by the way. The shadow attribute, waiting for a knight, K-N-I-G-H-T, not J-Lo waiting for tonight, waiting for a knight to provide for you, seduction by romantic illusions. And don't we all get seduced by romantic illusions, right? The happily ever after. I merged words there, didn't I? Right? And the idea of someone making me happy. Honey, happiness is a decision we have to make for ourselves to be happy. So the light attribute, understanding the nature of healthy romance, inspires you to rely on yourself, right? So you can even feel a touch of the divine masculine in there about, well, I want to get this right so that I can rely upon my own heart, loving myself, that kind of thing. Cool? Let's keep going. Like I said, if you're not immediately identifying with either one of those, might not be your read, that's possible, but what we're going to do is take 5 cards, the elements spread with the divine feminine deck that I use, Daughters of the Moon Tarot, with the divine masculine, we're going to use the Mythic Tarot, Juliet Sharman Burke's deck. Let's see what we get. We're going to shuffle both decks first, and then we'll pull 2 at a time for each position, fire, earth, air, water, spirit. Breathe. Here we go. My goddesses, please, the Divine Feminine Collective. Top 5 cards, element spread. For this Taurus Collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. This Divine Feminine Athlete archetype in this Taurian Collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. Happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, romantic, sexual soulmate contract for March 2020 or timeless, please, my goddesses. Thank you so much. Clean cut, top 5 cards, element spread, maiden, and mother, and crone. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Clean cut. Like I said, I'm just going to do this deck for the Divine Masculine so I can pull 2 at a time. You'll see it's kind of cool. Breathe. Oh my gods, please, top 5 cards, element spread for this Taurus Collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, soulmate contract involving this Divine Masculine Damsel archetype. I mean, I have the Damsel archetype, again, like the Athlete, for a season, not a reason or a lifetime. Comes and goes a little bit. So I can familiarize myself with that. So please, my gods, top 5 cards, element spread for this Divine Masculine Damsel relation, this Divine Masculine Damsel, it's a little hard to say, in this Taurian Collective, Sun, there you are, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, romantic, sexual, soulmate, contract. What am I getting here? For March 2020 or timeless, Father, Son, Sage. I did them out of order. Sun, Father, Sage. You know what I mean. My gods are good with me when you work for them. They know your limitations. So here we go. Fire, earth, air, water, spirit. Fire, the element of desire. What is it that they both want? Well, the Divine Feminine wants to resolve a conflict, possibly within herself, maybe something she's not expressing just yet. And the Divine Masculine wants the Chariot. He wants to move forward. This is the god Aries in the Chariot, right? Ready to full steam ahead, channeling his conflicts forward. So what I find interesting is they both have this image of 2 things in a focused direction. The 2 archers focusing inward here for the Divine Feminine 4 of Flames conflict card. Only 1 dragon though, right? When I first got this deck, I used to hold it up to clients and say, how many dragons do you see? And they'd say 1, they'd say 2. I'd say, no, there's only 1. And they'd look and they go, oh yeah, those are the archers, right? So this can very much be a conflict within this Divine Feminine Athlete. Remember, about wanting to transcend limitations. So this conflict might be about a limitation that they have that they're bumping up against. At least that's what I'm feeling. For this Divine Masculine, something similar in that you have the white horse and the black horse sort of pulling him in different directions. Should I, shouldn't I? But definitely having that emotional pull of the Chariot card, usually considered a card that's lunar. Here we definitely have a Mars energy here with the god Aries, wanting very much to move forward. Can we get on with this? I really want this. I want to channel all my forces in the same direction, right? You can even see the horses are looking like they want to pull in separate ways, sort of leaning away from each other. So these 2 might have been through it together already, right? Maybe they've that this is a soulmate that for a while was okay, then went a little off, right? Like a little weird, something happened, an argument or something. So there might be a conflict within each of them individually, but they're both wanting to resolve and move forward. What's the earth? The element that feeds the fire, right? The wood, the wax, the wick that feeds the flame. Well, okay, for her, we've got the Gemini card. So what she has is the ability to express herself. So like the Athlete, there might be some form of creative expression. Remember, the Athlete is the creative family, so think of how an athlete creates their body, right? How it creates their disciplines in order to keep getting better and better and better, always upgrading, right? Setting new goals, creating new goals. Well, this is very much about expressing herself, Gemini 3rd house. Now, could she have Gemini placement? Certainly. But the other thing I love about Gemini is the mutability of air, of being able to gather information. An astrologer taught me this. Think of a bee, right, that goes from flower to flower to flower to flower to flower, gathering pollen and nectar, and then creating something completely unique and individual out of the result of all of those different plants. Well, Geminis are like that. They gather information and then sort of spit out this thing that's really original, right? Mutability of air, changeable air. So with the air to fire relationship here, this air that feeds the fire, really the information that she's gathering hopefully will help her resolve that conflict, helping her see it differently, perhaps by investigating intellectually different voices, and I don't want to say opinions, but counsel. Everybody's got an opinion, right? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and most of them stink. I love that. I think someone in my family said that when I was a little kid. I never forgot it. But certainly counsel from the soul, right? It's people who've been through it before, people who really have more of a soul insight, to at least gather that intellectually, like can even be through philosophy or psychology or something along that nature. And remember, just because someone's an athlete doesn't mean you can't be a mental, emotional athlete, right? Like if you've been through it and you're still in the game, so to speak, right? Now, what I love about the Divine Masculine here is he's got the card of strength. So that's two major arcana cards, and this is not the first time in this soulmate spread that we've seen Divine Masculine with the predominance of major arcana, spirit card, divine card energies, and I'm sort of really digging that. So with the Chariot and strength, he has the ability to endure whatever is necessary, the strength, the courage to channel both his positive and negative, his light and his dark, his shadow and his light, if you will, in the direction of what he wants, which does feel like romance, like he's willing to follow his heart and be courageous here. Very strong. Because you have Heracles, the Greek name for Hercules, and Aries, brothers, half-brothers, essentially. Yeah, different moms. Right? Yeah. Because Disney said that Hercules' mother is Hera. Nope. Nope-see, dope-see. That completely invalidates the entire myth if that were the case. Just saying. Wouldn't need the 12 labors. Let's keep going. Yeah, oh, well, 12 labors. I feel like this Divine Masculine damsel has been through it, but that feminine energy within them might very well be very sensitive and very sweet, and trying to channel that as a Divine Masculine and bring that into balance can be tricky in this world still. Can you imagine in this world still, we still have issues with Divine Masculine, Feminine. That's why I think if we use the Eastern terms, the Taoist terms of yin and yang, we have so much more fluidity there. Maybe in another 100 years. Maybe in another 5. Let's look. What are they thinking? What's their element of air? Her first major arcana card, the Trickster, half of the Devil card. This deck splits it into the card of Oppression and the card of the Trickster, Coyote Woman. Now, not that Coyote Woman is satanic or a devil or something like that, but it's the sabotorial things that we do to ourselves, our own sabotorial plans. Wile E. Coyote's super genius, right? Never works out. Why? Because his intentions aren't pure. Now, let's be clear. He's hungry. He wants to eat the Roadrunner. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, wow. Yeah, look up Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner just in case. You never know with kids today what they're watching, what they're not. And I'm talking early 20s, right? So that thing of sort of chasing your own tail, biting your own tail, setting up the trap to get someone else and having it sprung on yourself. So might be thinking in a way that is self-sabotorial, or really looking at, like I said, perhaps psychologically, philosophically, resolving this conflict in terms of how are they empowering or disempowering themselves? Are they chained to a way things being a certain way, like in the card of the Devil? In the Rider-Waite Tarot, you've got Baphomet, which people understood who Baphomet was. It really changed the world if people understood there was a difference. But to get that, you have that masculine and feminine demonettes underneath them with chains around their neck that they could just slip off and walk away from. Next time you see the card, look, they're loose around their necks, but they choose on some level, right? Like the card of the Lovers, a decision, but perhaps a self-sabotorial thing that they are reviewing in their mind, helping them to resolve this conflict. My kitties are behaving. And what he's got on his mind is the Nine of Pentacles. So he's thinking about his own sense of security and stability. I said this to a private client last week when the Nine of Pentacles popped up. I said, do you know the song, God Bless the Child That's Got His Own? That's got his own. She's like, absolutely. I grew up hearing that song. She's from down south. I loved her accent. It was so beautiful. And I was like, well, there it is for you. It's like really thinking about his own context of stability, having everything you need, satisfied but not complete, right? It's like that Nine of Pentacles, one more makes the 10, right? So definitely on his mind, thinking about his own stability, his own fertility, his own, here's the word they're giving me, security, so that he can what? Rely on himself. Remember, I'm saying him and her here. And you know, granted, I'll say it's sexist to say that, oh, athletes are all men. Of course not. But the damsel, that's a little bit harder to think of in a male body. But remember, we're not talking about bodily gender here. So I may repeat that a few times because it is societally conditioned to think of certain archetypes as only male or only female. And we have to keep resetting that. Again, yin and yang would be so much easier. But that's not the language we use, right? It's the language I use. Doesn't look good on a scruff profile, though. Only yang. Bite me. What are they feeling? What's their element of water? Well, our Divine Feminine Athlete is feeling Pele, the volcano. The Five of Flames, which, keeping in mind, she wants to resolve this conflict, the Four of Flames. Perhaps that is what's fueling the magma under the crust, right? The stuff that she's not showing that's boiling inside of her, ready to explode. Now, keep in mind, Pele the volcano, it's a very disruptive and possibly destructive, not just disruptive, but destructive, out of nowhere, right? You usually don't get a warning so much before a volcano blows. But if that's what's going on emotionally here, there's a lot of passion here. Now, there's a crime of passion, violence and anger, but this could also be a Kundalini awakening. This could be sexual power. This could be creative energy or the desire to win at all costs. You feeling me? That athlete, like, do it, kill, right? But in a soulmate thing, I think this conflict isn't so much with this divine masculine damsel here, but from the past. Like maybe has been a little too aggressive, too assertive in the emotional part, and is therefore maybe reflecting on how can I do this differently where I'm not sabotaging myself or disempowering my partner, overshadowing them, muting them by being so bold, so loud, so dominant, there's the word. Because what the damsel, interesting, goes from the Nine of Pentacles in air to the Nine of Wands, fire. So what we're looking at here is a divine masculine damsel archetype that feels like, oh my God, I'm so close, but I'm not there. This is the Argo of Jason and the Argonauts returning with the golden fleece, but they get stuck on the rocks right before they land. You okay, Sabby? Yeah? Okay. My boys. They're so sweet. They're just all, I think spring is in the air. Great shedding season. It's a good thing most of my furniture is dark. So do you feel that? It's like, so in the air is really thinking about this. I'm okay. Okay, I've got my own. I can rely upon myself. But man, I just can't scratch that itch. Right? I just really wish someone would touch my stuff. So it feels like this could be a very physical sexual relationship between these two. Remember, he's got the Chariot and the Strength card. Chariot, what he wants. Strength, what he has. So this feels like a good match, particularly in terms of their passion for each other. Let's get that last card down, the Spirit card, which is the voice or the point of view of the soul within each of them that agreed to the contract prior to incarnation, right? Let's see who they got. Well, there's her second major arcana card, the Moon. So really, the divine feminine influence here, right? Yemaya, the intuitive piece of this, to really, for the divine feminine athlete, to tune in intuitionally, right? There might be some emotional confusion here. Perhaps there's even some emotional anger residual from past sabotage, right? Tricks that the divine plays that we learn. See, everything that happens to us in this world is happening for the soul to grow and evolve. That's why the soul's perspective is so drastically different from the personality. And by the way, I said this in a live stream I did earlier today. I'm going to be doing more super chats, prayer and meditation and stuff. I'll pull cards too as we go, maybe. But that the word persona is Greek for mask. So your personality is not really who you are. It's who you may believe you are as you present yourself to the world. But beyond that mask of the persona is our hidden wounds, our subconscious stuff. And beyond that is the soul, the immortal, eternal divine within us. And what this... Sabby, what are you doing over there? He's been picking at his kibbles all day long. Like every 5 minutes. It's weird. I gotta check him out. The Gemini card here, the Knight of Swords, the Dioscuri, right? These two warrior twins. So there's something here about a Gemini energy. Gemini here, Gemini there. Here in what she has, right? Like I said, a gathering of information, but it feels like the soul of this divine masculine damsel is sort of saying something similar in terms of express yourself, right? What is it that you're thinking? What is it that you're feeling? Can you communicate it? And can you gather the words? Can you find the words to voice what it is that you want? Because I get the feeling from the outside looking in, this is a very strong character. It doesn't feel like either one of these are weak personalities. But with that thought and focus of, no, I'm good. I'm building. I'm getting to that place where I can rely upon myself, where I'm self-sufficient, but yet I still can't get this full fulfillment going on here. So maybe the soul is saying, well, will you talk about it? Will you express yourself? Will you educate yourself? Because remember, part of the light here is understanding the nature of healthy romance. And part of healthy romance is knowing how to express what you want, not waiting for someone to know what you want via magical thinking, which is not what you think. Go Google magical thinking psychologically, right? It happens when we're children because we cry and people pick us up or feed us or whatever, and so we think people are just supposed to know what we want. It's not true. It's not true, and that's why the idea of someone rescuing you, providing for you in the damsel is so strong. Thanks, Disney. I'm not going to blame all of Disney. Obviously, the fairy tales were there originally for them to build upon, but there's such cultural parts of us waiting for our knight or our prince to come. This damsel here, really the soul is saying communicate. Even if it's like writing it down, find a means of expression here. Because it feels like this divine feminine athlete might be a juggernaut in her own power, and I don't feel dissimilar. I feel very much the same here with this divine masculine damsel, but there seems to be a thing here of mercurial energy for both of them. The divine feminine athlete might have an easier time expressing herself than the divine masculine, possibly because of that sensitivity, right? You've got a divine feminine feminine family archetype in the divine masculine position. Very interesting. Now, if this seems a little confusing, don't worry, we are not done yet. We've still got 5 other cards to hit the table, 2 of which The Healing with the Angels Oracle by Doreen Virtue. We're going to get one for each of them, and these are the angels that are working and walking with them individually, but that have also signed up to help them, what? Help each other heal. The foundation of a soulmate contract, right? So, nice deep breath, please. Changing channels. That breath just clears the field. My angels, please, 2 cards, one for this divine feminine athlete, one for this divine masculine damsel in this Taurus collective, sun, moon, rising, Venus sign, happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, romantic, sexual, satisfying, soulmate contract for March 2020 are timeless. Please, can we have one card for this? Oh, almost had it. One card, please, for this divine. Wow, keeps slipping out of my hands. This deck's been doing this today. Please, one for this divine feminine athlete. I'll just stare at the card until you give it to me. And please, one for this divine masculine damsel. No? Please, one card for this divine masculine damsel archetype. There we go. Who are the angels that walk with them? Answered prayer. So this divine feminine prayed. Now, whether she prayed deliberately or it was just like, oh, please, God, can I please have a relationship that works, that suits me, right? And has definitely been on an intellectual pursuit of that, right? Expanding her knowledge. But that would make sense why the divine, the soul, is saying, follow your intuitive path. There is no formula. Like, for instance, working out. If you know your body type and your blood type and you educate yourself, you know what foods to eat to bulk up or to trim down, right? You know what exercises to do to build your lats or your delts or your glutes, right? This is different. This is a different type of development and perhaps has experienced some self-sabotage along the way. So on some level, a prayer, a desire, a very heartfelt desire has been expressed. And to know that, my darling, your prayer has been answered, but that doesn't mean it's all just going to be handed to you all tied in a bow. There's still some growth here that needs to happen because there's still a conflict needing to be resolved, but within the answer to that prayer feels like some of that conflict is going to be resolved so that this not need be a replay of previous experiences. And the divine masculine damsel has the card of celebration, which for me is definitely about a rite of passage, right? We usually celebrate, the endings of things, right? So that we can move fresh into the beginnings of others. Like, even if it's TGIF, right? Who's like, yay, we got through the work week. It's still a rite of passage in a way. But it really feels like what she, divine feminine, he, divine masculine, but divine feminine archetype. So yin and yang would be so much easier. To say, but celebrate where you are right now. Celebrate where you have. That's going to really shift your vibe to allow new things to come in. And it is true. When we can give thanks for where we are and what we have, we relax and we become more what? Receptive, right? More feminine, more yin, more able to absorb the new coming in. It's like when you've received a gift from someone, what do you say? Well, thank you, right? So there's something there about the celebration of this, embracing what she already has, which is a lot of strength and a lot of drive, I feel like, to channel it all in a direction to get what she wants. But to remember, the 9s are fine, granted not quite 10s, but still worth celebrating, right? So I don't feel like she's in a horrible place. Hope she doesn't either. He, well, language, gender, oi. Let's ask the higher selves of all involved through the Whispers of Love Oracle, shall we? Nice deep breath, please, my Taurians. Or cross-watchers. Higher selves of all involved. I felt that shift. This is going to be a little on the serious side, isn't it? Please, 2 cards, one for this divine feminine athlete and one for this divine masculine damsel in this Taurian collective, sun, moon, rising, Venus sign, happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, romantic, sexual, satisfying, soulmate contract for March 2020 are timeless. One for the divine feminine, please. One for the divine masculine. So much easier. I have a weird feeling about this. Not bad weird, though. Okay, so for the divine feminine athlete, do something for someone else. Give your attention to someone else. Now, I'm not going to say that athletes are narcissistic. They are in their shadow. But in their light, right? Someone can be athletic in terms of their compassion, right? In terms of their service, in terms of their ability to help other people out. So if we can take it out of the sport genre, there may be some of that in here. It may be all of that. But across the collective, I don't feel like that's true. I feel like this is more about that soul power of, right, like setting new goals and going for them in a way that takes practice, transcending limits. For the divine masculine damsel, you know what it is, because it's a feminine archetype and a masculine sign. Like the divine feminine athlete doesn't throw me, but the divine masculine damsel does for some reason, and it's not the first time that has shown up here in a reading. I think last time I saw this, it was in a twin flame read, maybe last month. I'm doing that series next. So the voice from the higher self here, the whisper of love, act as if your partner is here. Whether you have someone in your life or not, act as if they are with you, so you will always consider them. Not necessarily as a manifestational technique, particularly when you're dealing with soul contracts. This shit's scripted. It's written in. It's going to happen. But, you know, how are you going to play it when it comes? So maybe in terms of preparation, right, to help move that white horse and that dark horse in that same direction, to really use that message of the Gemini, the Knight of Swords here, to really act as if and think as if, because, you know, like when people say we're all connected, yes, I get why people say that, but really we're all manifestations of the same thing, right? Where the quantum field, the supreme being, the divine singularity, right? We're like all fingers on the same hand, so to speak. So they are always with you because we're all one, but that's everybody and everything. The E that equals MC squared, if you will. But to really act as if, not just think, but act as if, that's going to take some strength, that's going to take some endurance, and may very well, it's really neat, bring this 9 of Wands to a 10 of Wands emotionally. And if you think of the manifestational scale, air, then fire, then water, then the last one is earth, physical manifestation. So there's something interesting going on there. I don't know why I got that seriousness here, unless some of you are really dealing with some very serious situations where do something for someone else and act as if your partner is here is almost saying ethically, in terms of your conduct, bring your conduct into alignment with the truth of what your soul really came in to do. One last card down, one of the healing mantra cards from the healing mantra deck by Matt Kahn. Whether you are the divine feminine athlete or the divine masculine damsel, working this mantra will help you heal individually, help each other heal as per a soulmate contract, as well as contribute to the healing of all humanity and all of life. Pretty big scale, athletic. Let's do this. Breathe. The voices of the Ascended Masters of Soulmate Contracts. Let's do this, please. My Ascended Masters of Soulmate Contracts, please. One card, in clarity, just one. For this divine feminine athlete and this divine masculine damsel in this Taurian collective sun, moon, rising, Venus sign. Happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, romantic, sexual, satisfying soulmate contract for March 2020 or timeless. What is the perfect, most truly helpful healing mantra for this soulmate contract? One side of the card. Hey, Milky. Come on. Come on. Come on, Borchea. Come here. You know, I speak feline fluently. Come here. My last name is Lyons. Come on. Come on. Come on, my hunka chunka. It's such a cannonball. Picking him up, it's like a medicine ball. Come on. No, not interested in making me make noise for him. Interrupting the reading. One side of the card is the mantra, the other the name of the mantra. So then nothing else is written on the card. So let's see who you got here. Balancing the brain. I can be and do all at once. This is all about left brain, right brain, masculine, feminine, right? Yin, yang. This is all about being and doing. I can be and do all at once, which I think is very interesting considering the gendered dynamic, masculine and feminine, yin, yang stuff. Melchior, knock it off. He just wants what he can't have. Wonder where he got that from. Let's see. Balancing the brain. Go upstairs and play with your brothers. There he goes. I can't even get mad at them. They're so freaking cute. It's like he's answering me back. Don't answer back. Except you're a cat. Breathe. Balancing the brain. Balancing the brain. I can do and be. Actually, I can be and do all at once. I almost said do be. Do-be-do. Little Sinatra there for you. When the brain is balanced, you are no longer bouncing back and forth between being athlete, damsel, and doing athlete. You allow each action to be expressed from a place of mindfulness, peace, and ease. In a balanced brain, each inner battle, conflict, has been won, which makes it easier to navigate around those whose minds are still entrenched in conflict. From this space, you are able to do all that needs to be done while operating from your soul's natural state of being. Which is the moon and the Gemini card here, so there's some self-expression. What do I do? What do I do? Let me just be, but nothing's getting done. It's learning how to balance that. This mantra is ideal for reducing stress at work, being a more mindful parent, and increasing levels of accountability. Now, that will probably make more sense for those watching this. Like I said, I don't have any planets in Taurus. If I didn't say that, though I am an Earth sign. So for a Virgo, we're about service, but for a Taurus, like I get this image of, right, like a bull pawing the ground, right? All that potential energy about to go kinetic. Is it going to be? Is it going to do? Well, with this Chariot card here and this card of conflict, I can feel that being the conflict going on here, perhaps even between the two of them because of their relative pasts and where they are in their lives. Let's pop up the picture and see if anything else reveals itself in the overview, and then we're done. Cool, cool. I'll give you a blessing like I always do. Nice deep breath. Magic clap. We've got the Divine Feminine with the Athlete archetype. In the shadow, misuse of athletic ability for selfish ends, false sense of invulnerability, and entitlement. The Light attribute, dedication to transcending physical limits, including handicaps, development of personal willpower and strength of spirit, which does kind of explain that conflict card in the fire position, that Four of Flames, about personal will, right? And strength of spirit. That conflict there does need to be resolved, and the Gemini card there about self-expression, gathering information, the bee going from flower to flower and creating a brand new strategy perhaps to resolve that conflict. But in the mind is perhaps a preoccupation with the trickster, right? Not necessarily being the trickster, but sabotorial things that have been done to this Divine Feminine athlete, how she has self-sabotaged or sabotaged others. That trickster card is obviously tricky in the mental field, and perhaps triggering that Five of Flames, that heightened, built-up, pent-up desire ready to explode emotionally. And what is the point of view of the soul with the Maya, the moon? To follow the intuitive path more than the emotional one. Yes, emotions will wax and wane like the moon does, but the intuitive path is always under our feet. We just need to be able to tune to it. And considering there's no other water, like there's no water card at all in either of their spreads, perhaps there's a bit more of emotional stuff being repressed here than we see here in this spread. Interestingly enough, the angel that walks with this Divine Feminine athlete is the answered prayer, the angel of the answered prayer, to say that the prayer's already been answered, but just has to sort of make their way through the story, through the journey, to see what that answer is, whether it's what they want or not. And the guidance and grace from the higher self is do something for someone else. Give your attention to someone else, one would think. The Divine Masculine Damsel, who the shadow attribute is waiting for a knight to provide for you. Seduction by romantic illusion. Not really seeing that here, but that might be indicative in that Chariot card. Light attribute, understanding the nature of healthy romance inspires you to rely on yourself, and that might be what that card of the Chariot is in that position of fire. Wanting very much to experience the healthy romance, but still kind of figuring out how to rely upon himself, which we see has the strength for that, has the endurance with the card of strength, Heracles strangling the Nemean lion. But in the mind is the Nine of Pentacles, probably money on his, has his mind on his money and money on his mind, making sure that he has that stability and that security to rely upon himself. Not just financially, but physically, but in the emotional field, the Nine of Wands. So they both have fire in the water position. So there's a lot of wanting here. There's a lot of yearning and burning here. The Five, very transformative, changing fire in the Divine Feminine Athlete. The Nine of Wands, that feeling of almost there for this Divine Masculine Damsel. And with the Knight of Swords as the message from the soul, the point of view or the voice of the soul, that, like the Divine Feminine Athlete has that Gemini card in the Earth position, here is saying, communicate yourself, express yourself, even if it's in writing first for yourself. And gather information from that as you go. Keeping in mind that the angel that walks with this Divine Masculine Damsel is the angel of celebration, that there is some sort of rite of passage here, that there is something worth celebrating here, and to really appreciate where they are and to act as if their partner is here. Whether you have someone in your life or not, act as if they are with you, so you will always consider them. I do feel like these two might have had a brush together before, like might have brushed up against each other, either in something significant but temporary, or perhaps know each other and are really feeling that fire for each other. So when other options are popping up for this damsel to kind of check herself, rely upon herself, and act as if his partner is here. And with that, balancing the brain mantra of I can be and do at once, that really balancing the be of the Divine Feminine and the do of the Divine Masculine, except with the archetypes they have, that seems juxtaposed, which might mean they are the perfect alchemical Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine balance for each other. So there we have it, my lovely Earth sign Taurian brothers and sisters. May you be blessed with all that you need in your soulmate contracts for March 2020 or timeless, that you may grow, that you may heal, that you may create, that you may feel your way to each other, being and doing in balance, as you act as if your partner is here and doing something for someone else, that you really come together to help each other heal individually, collectively, and help all of life move forward as well in the soulmate vibration. As one of us heals in the quantum, all of us heal. So may they be so blessed. And so it is. So let it be. Thank you so much for watching. Again, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment, because this is, again, the gender stuff, the yin-yang of it all, a little confusing. So please do comment if you have any insight into that from your own point of view, what you're going through in your life, in this relationship, because I'd be interested to know. Cool. Wishing you the very best and the very blessed of your soulmate contracts for 2020 in March or timeless. But for now, hail, farewell, and blessed be.